reality coach. Shades on. The reality coach. Shades on. Knowledge wisdom.
Well, hey, everybody. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. It's always something. But you know what? I am learning to not allow the small things in life to bother me. You know, I constantly tell people, let me just say why I have the shades on. Shades are because sometimes we do not want to see the truth. But with a reality coach, you're going to hear the truth. And today, I have some truth for you that you may not want to hear, but you're going to you may not want to see it, but you're going to hear it. Let me say that. So anyway, I don't know if many of you got the opportunity to look at today's show flyer. So I'm going to show it to you for a purpose, because I realize that we do so much in life now that seems to be meaningless. I won't even say meaningless, but it's too concerned with what everybody else thinks. Okay, let's see. Here's today's flyer. Okay, now, y'all, today's flyer, let me just go to it in a different screen. So that way I don't have to worry about all the pop-ups, which I get it all the time anyway. My phone seems to not ever stop ringing, but that's a good thing because that means I'm doing something and people are wanting to talk with me or talk to me or at least laugh at me, talk to me, laugh with me, laugh for me, whatever the case may be. I'm excited that I'm being used as an instrument in today's dark time. And Reggie Ruffin will be on here shortly, but this is today's flyer. Can y'all see that? Anyway, the reason why sometimes before I can even do anything, just one moment, y'all. See, this is how this goes. Now, I've sent this link to him 3 times and still no link. Don't understand it, but let me just put him on here vocally. Let's do it that way. Because I am the reality coach and I believe in making sure that you know what's going on, and I don't hide anything because we don't have to be perfect, but we must serve a purpose. And we're going to serve a purpose this day and always. Okay, now he can't seem to answer his phone. Y'all, I'm calling, but can't get him on the phone either. Now, this is just not right. But nonetheless, we're going to try it again. Y'all, I don't understand this. It's a never-ending battle when you're trying to spread joy and happiness and kindness. It seems like everything goes wrong. And the reason why I want him on here because he can attest to what I'm getting ready to say about caring, concerned conversations. And can't get him on the phone now. Mind you, we just talked all morning. And then when I go on live on Facebook, my Reggie, I can't, I can hear you, but you're on the speakerphone because I want people to see what we go through. Now, you and I, we've talked so much today and you can't get the link. You can't, and I don't understand that because we never have a difficult time getting links and things together. But nonetheless, y'all, this is some truth you may not want to see, but you're going to hear it. And now you're going to see it because he's on the phone, but he can't get the link. We've been talking all morning, barely can hear me. It's just ridiculous. I don't understand this.
Yeah, me neither.
But anyway, we're going to keep moving on. Do you want me to email it? Maybe that might help.
Yeah, go ahead and give that a shot, man. If not, I can call you back.
Well,
it's like the second time this has happened this week.
Wow.
This is getting too weird for me.
Okay, let me see. And you want me to? Okay, let me send it to you now. Let me see.
Or inbox it on my messenger.
Okay, let me try that. Well, you can stay on here with me until then, right?
Yeah. I can do that.
Okay, let me do that now. Let me see if that'll work. And he's had problems all week getting messages, and it's just weird. It makes you go,
Really? Because this just started like the past couple days. Ever since I got back from Mississippi, this has been going on.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have went to Mississippi.
Yeah, you know what? The time I heard that one, be like Claude and Ray on Life.
Okay, well, I sent it to you, and let's see if that works. Did you receive it?
Okay, got the link.
All right, we cooking with some fresh grease.
Oh, wait a minute now, let's not get too heavy now, because last time I got one like this a couple days ago, it got all the way up to trying to enter the studio and I couldn't get in. It said something about having a laptop. And let's see. Like I know I've gotten good on this thing the past year. Okay. All right, here we are. We're in.
Yay! All right, perfect. Let me hang this up.
Yeah, you hang it up now.
Well, welcome.
All right. It does say a lot about the old saying go, much is given, more is required. But I mean, my God, simplicity is now becoming complication now. And it's just, I'm really scratching my head over this one because, first they were saying you need to get a new phone. Then I go buy a new phone and I'm still having these same problems. So, I'm getting wondering, are there gremlins in the air?
Okay, well, let me tell you what you can't see this message, but I can. It says your guest just cause coalition is an Android Chrome which has a bug that causes echo.
Well, that's how I spell the acronym.
Google is working to fix it. For now, please ask your guest to wear headphones to avoid echo or use a direct browser. We've also informed your guests. Is that what they've told you?
I don't know. Like I said,
we got other things. Look, that's trivial. We don't even have to worry about that.
Very.
Let's stay focused because let me tell you, you all, whenever you're wanting to get your message out and want to get things across, you have to stay persistent. And if it wasn't for us being persistent to get this done, it wouldn't be happening. And I thank you, Mr. Ruffin, for being consistent. And hey, you got your shades on just like me. It's some dark truth you may not want to see, but they getting ready to hear all about it and see it as well. Okay.
Absolutely.
This topic came to me after I was talking with several people. People are always calling me, wanting me to do shows with them or wanting to be a guest on the show because they want their reality to be heard, told from a real perspective without filters or without making them feel uncomfortable, but someone that really cares. And not saying other people don't, but obviously they're reaching out to me for a purpose and a reason when they want to deal with the reality culture, because y'all know I can be a little real. But nonetheless, so I had two callers, matter of factly, reach out to me. And after a brief conversation with them, I realized that yes, I'm caring and yes, I am concerned. However, one thing about the reality coach, I never want a guest to get on this show and somehow or another be left feeling as though there's no concern and no one cares. So when I do my, I guess what they call vetting or research or talking or engaging with the person, I start listening to the conversation. And one thing about a friend of mine, well, she's now a friend of mine, told me one thing about the truth, one thing about a lie, it'll get around the world 3 times before the truth can get its shoes on. And so if you're not telling the truth or living in your reality, and you're trying to talk to someone who's a realist and one that can discern things, you may not want to do that, because it comes across as though, not that you're not telling the truth, but that you're leaving things out. And have you ever talked to someone like that, and you feel like, they're telling me the truth, but it seems like something's not quite going
Yeah,
well?
I guess they call it omission by admission.
Okay, but have you ever talked to someone where you're let me take these shades off, y'all, because this is some truth that you got to see in here. Have you ever talked to someone where you're talking to them and you hear them and you're just like, okay, that's true, but there's got to be more to this?
Well, that's part of my what we call the qualifying process. Is that what I do is I'm listening and filtering the intel they're giving me, and then at the same time I'm having to disseminate what it is they're saying as it relates to reality, and what's being what seems to not be following through. I start reading through the inconsistencies, because we know in this business we have to get it right every time, because if we get caught tangled up in something once, our credibility's shot. You never can get it back. I mean, you think back to when Al Sharpton did that Tawana Brawley case back in '87. Even to this day, some cynics still bring that up, even though he has gone around the world and back 1,000 times with a lot of the truthfulness that he has shown. That one inconsistency is what a lot of people like to try to rag on, as if he's just like he was just a eternal liar or something, like he's
Okay,
pathological.
well, you went so far back that don't nobody remember that case. Can you what can you give us a little insight?
It's not nothing they can't Google, because you can find out anything on anybody in less than 5 minutes. All you have to do is punch in their name, and
Okay,
it'll come
but
in
you
there.
brought it up. You brought it up, and now people are listening. And sure, they can go Google it, of course. But what was that case involved with? What was the involvement of that case?
That was when a black woman accused several white men of raping her, gang raped her, and smeared feces over and everything like that. And I think they injured her and left her for dead or whatever, something on that regard. And it was just so heinous. The story was so heinous. Yeah, it made a lot of people angry about it. And I think, according to after further investigation, found out that the girl lied about what had happened. Al Sharpton had already been on several shows talking about what happened, and expressed his outrage about it. And it turned out to be a hoax, and then people trying to run Sharpton out of the country practically. But then a
Oh,
lot of people forget about that back during that same time as well, when Donald Trump practically put a hit out on the 5 guys that was supposed to be the Central Park rapists. And then, of course, they found out those guys didn't commit the crime, but the damage was already done. That's when Trump just basically went straight ham on the media and everything, and basically wanted to have these guys crucified.
well, I
But
do know how once they put something out, uh, you must really investigate it, because some things, just because it looks true and it sounds true, doesn't mean it is true and can be true. So
yes,
me understanding exactly what you're saying, once somebody puts something out there, it's out there, and if you don't do your research, you can be left looking as though you're not a truthful individual. And that's why investigative reporting is what it's called. Investigate before you speculate or before you speak about it.
or
So
definitely
saying that to
investigate,
say,
before you pontificate, because I mean, you don't want to go out there and just start rolling out all of your adjectives to try and describe something on what someone has done, and then come to find out that it wasn't what it was alleged to be.
Okay, well, now let's get back to to today's subject. That's I just wanted people to understand why I didn't come up with it, why the Holy Spirit gave it to me. I'm a firm believer in God, and I listen. You may not believe in God, you may believe in whoever, whatever, but I believe in God, and that's what God gave me. So the reason why this came to me is because last night I was at Reggie, you came along with me. We were at an event where there was a room full of people, and the conversations, we went to two different events. One event, right. The conversation was the room, the energy, in the vibe, the whatever you want to call it, the aura, the atmosphere was so pleasant, and it just gave you warmth, and you wanted to be there, and you found yourself wanting to engage in conversations with whoever came near you. And each conversation that I had with people, the two things that stuck out for me was they were caring and concerning. And the concern was wanting to make sure I was comfortable, wanting to make sure that they showed that they cared about me, but also that they cared about the person that was there. And that was warm. It was a warm atmosphere. And then when I heard the candidate get up and give her speech, Judge Tanya Parker, it blew my mind. For the first time, y'all, I must say, a candidate gave a speech that really touched my heart. And even before she gave her speech, you could just feel her aura, her
sincerity and her candor.
Thank you so much, because she was so warm. Even I didn't see her not show warmth and caring and concern to anyone. And I watched her. I was like, is this an act? Because, I deal with so many politicians or so many public figures that a lot of them you can see acting. And she remained the same with each individual. And one thing about someone that's not in their own character, if you watch them long enough, they're going to do something to show you, oh, okay. And I didn't get that at all. And then when she gave her speech, she left something that I will forever take with me the rest of my days. She said while she was on the bench, she learned to be a tool that people could use to get fair justice, to get someone that's caring and that's going to be fair in both ways. And she said now she feels like she served her purpose as being a tool over there. And I'm assuming, and I'm just adding in, because she's gotten oiled and greased and fine-tuned enough to move to the next level, which she said she's going to be an instrument. She's going to the appellate court because she wants to be an instrument to help the movement of justice even further, to help make the decisions, to help people understand what they can do, can't do, help them understand, get the paperwork, or whatever the case may be. It's a higher level. But she said one thing that she also, in being a tool and being an instrument, she's learned that you need to be a safety net. Either be a safety net or always have a safety net to fall back on. And she had people that have been there knowing her for 20 plus years. And they all still seem to be just so overly joyed with her presence, just being in her presence. And y'all, to leave a company, leave a firm being a partner, to go be a judge. That says a lot about Tanya Parker. Now, you want to comment? You want to feed in on that?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that I agree with everything about Tanya Parker. I mean, cause for me, she was a new face on the scene that I wasn't familiar with, but I definitely left the luncheon last night. I left it with a great feeling that she's gonna do right, she's gonna do good, because when you become an appellate court judge, you're supposed to have the highest level of integrity, especially when you're going back in here looking at cases that have already been ruled upon, and then you're looking at the imperfections that came along with that, and find out which one of these things was salient enough to where you have to make a decision whether or not the original decision was valid or not. Because too often we have seen cases that should have never been prosecuted, should have never been indicted. And then, of course, when they're found guilty by a jury of their own peers, so to say, uh, those poor souls have to get put way back in a long line before they have their day in court to get redeemed. But after that, the person lost so many years, decades sometimes, and some even actually die in prison because they never got their redemption. And we've seen too much of it, and it's to the point that the problem starts at the front with with just the due process of law that is never really done right according to whom the defendant is. But
and I think with people with judges like Tanya Parker, I think we can take some type of solace and some type of comfort in knowing that she's going to get up there and do the right thing. I just cannot. First of all, when you already have your own money, you don't have to worry about making money. And it's kind of like the Apostle Paul says in the Bible, if I get paid by the people, then I have to preach for the people. That's really what that is. And if you come in as a judge with no money, then the probability of you being swayed to overlook something, or perhaps not, this is some truth. Yeah, you're right. Perhaps not act on it, go off of feelings versus facts. That might be more in the wheelhouse that you will do that. And I think that's what, I can't say for sure, but this is my speculation only. There's a lot of that going on because of the amount of cases that are being ridiculously prosecuted and mishandled. What would make someone, the only thing that I could see that would make someone to want to throw their career, throw their morals and their principles out the window, is the love of money or the lack thereof. And I believe that's what's happening with a lot of these cases, or it just can't be that much hatred alone. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm definitely on the side of the fact that bigotry plays a bigger part in a lot of I'd say bigotry plays more harder than even racism in a lot of these cases. But like, it's easy to always use the word racism, and it doesn't always apply to a lot of things. Some people, it's just bigotry because their mind is already set that this person is guilty because he lives over here. This person is innocent because he lives over there. And they don't know how to start having objectivity and start trying to look at each case separately. Then they just do a roller brush and just paint the whole wall without even knowing what they missed on the strokes. So unfortunately, that's when innocent people fall through the cracks and get prosecuted. So the question I always like to ask most judges is, do you feel better about a guilty man being acquitted as opposed to an innocent man being convicted? And that's a question I would love to ask a lot more, because I think that's the one thing I think we need to ask of our judges when they make, since they're working with people's lives every day. and they have to get it right, or else, this person's going to be a pawn in the system, or going to be a slave in the system. Actually, that's probably a better word to use. But that's all mass incarceration is turned into. It's turned into New Jack slavery.
And I'm not sure if, I don't even know what all goes on in the penal system, in the prison system. So I won't even say the word slavery. I just say, because I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what they do. I just think abuse comes along.
Well, the fact that they're down there working for mere pennies every day, yeah, that's slavery. If you're working for $1 an hour, that's slavery.
Do they even
Because you're
get
gonna
that?
be doing a whole lot of work for that $1 an hour. So you out there doing farming, agriculture, industrial work, stuff like that, and whoever they're working for is basically getting millions of dollars worth of profit for pennies on the dollar. That's slavery.
Okay.
I don't know no other way to call it.
Okay.
Especially when the majority of the people out there in those cotton fields is us, is the dark ones. I mean,
but in actuality, you have to understand, slavery, it didn't matter when somebody wanted a slave. They didn't care if they were black, white, blue, or green. Before I know, I look at some of these movies, like these barbaric movies, and I don't see too many black slaves in those movies. I see all white slaves. So I don't want people to think that it's only now. Maybe they transitioned over to see an opportunity to not do their own color so bad and start using us. But I do know slavery was bad with any race. Anytime anybody's used as a slave. So I that's another thing. I know racial divide, it is here. We are so racially divided as a country, but we have to be realistic. We have to keep it 100% real.
Well, no
We
matter
are
what.
treated. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, no matter. I mean, regardless the what you want to try to discern the skin color, the majority of the people in prison are black and Hispanic. I say more than 2/3. Anytime you're looking at the population, we're only blacks are only 12% of the population in most states, but almost 80% of the population in prisons and jails. So that would be something that I should feel. That's why I have the feelings I feel about the word slavery.
Okay.
Because they're working for free. When you working to pay off those tickets that the police officers stack on you and run you for, knowing you don't have the money to pay for them, you got to go work those things out. That's slavery.
Okay, but what happens when you do what you do? When you get the tickets, you get the tickets. If you know you drive with no insurance, that's a ticket. You're driving without a license, that's a ticket. If you're speeding, that's a ticket. So if you don't want to pay the price of speeding and tickets and all of that, then have that stuff in order. And I'm not saying what you're saying doesn't exist, but what I'm saying is, let's be fair across the board here. Yes, there are a lot of times. And y'all know I'm not saying something that I'm not dealing with right now. My own son is innocent. I have a son that was murdered. His murderer is already home. 5 years, that's all he was given for my son's dead body. I have his ashes here at my house. So I'm not saying something just to be saying it. I'm saying something because I'm living it. But here's the thing. If my son was truly proven to be a rapist by DNA, by preponderance of the evidence, by whatever is needed, then I don't have no complaints. It is what it is. But
And unfortunately, in that situation with him, they saw a new slave they was got to bring in too. That's why they had the bond so high he couldn't bail out. They kept him locked in. They used pressure tactics to get him make him make him take a plea deal, that would have still ended up with him being a slave and a convicted felon and a convicted sex offender, which of course your son said, no, I'm not going to just take that land down. And then he stood up and tried to fight for it. And now he's got 75 years and got and now it's really ingrained into the system.
He's never gotten 75 years.
Well, however many years he's gotten for the conviction,
He got life.
Saying, I mean, it was very substantial,
life,
considering the fact that they practically railroaded him in there with the lack of evidence that they have that we're going to be revealing a lot sooner when the appeal is done.
Well, the reason why I'm saying this is this is a conversation that needs to be had. But as his mother and as a mother who has a son that was given murder was given 5 years, I still want to be able to have a caring, concerned conversation about this. Am I upset? Absolutely.
Of course you are.
But at the end of the day, what could make someone want to do something like this? I don't think slavery or wanting him to be a slave has anything to do with this. I think wanting him to be miserable the rest of his life had to do with this. Period. I mean, you can be out here and be a slave, but to add misery, that is something beyond slavery when you just outright do this type of stuff. This is malicious. This is vicious.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I call it malicious prosecution. Because of the fact it's a lot of maliciousness that's brought into what's going on. I mean, when you have people that's already looking at you and already saying, yeah, he's guilty because he did so-and-so, so-and-so, and not knowing all the facts to it, that's where the bigotry comes in that I speak about. And it's, that's something that's permeated this system here, there, and everywhere. Just like, I've gone to Mississippi and I'm seeing just how the ghost of Mississippi's and the racism it always had back in the day, how it never really went away. It just got repackaged, rebrought in, and now you even have black people that are just as much the oppressors as whites ever been.
So how is that even worse? Okay, and see, this is where I'm talking about comfortable, caring, concerned conversations. Let me tell you so we use the word racism. We always want to throw racism around. Well, let me just tell you people something. Everybody that allowed my son to get this wrongful conviction looked like me. The prosecutor was black, the public defender was black, and the court reporter who omitted stuff was black. And guess what? Where's the racism in that? They look like me. So how can I use the word? How can I use the word racism?
Well, you can, but you have to base it upon, that was more like a class system type of racism on. That was classism on that one. What you was dealing with then, when you have these so-called acceptable Negroes, these pickaninnies that go in there, that get elected to these jobs or get hired these jobs, and then they start casting disparaging eyes at you worse than the white folks. I ain't calling no names or anything because Eric Johnson know who he is.
But see, let me say this. See, when we have conversations like this, and you go to throwing names around like pickaninnies and all of that, that may be true or what have you, but there has to be a better way to where it doesn't come off like you're not concerned about what is happening. People shut you off when you go to talking like that. They don't want to hear all of that. And it's true. I'm angry. I mean, I'm ticked off.
And for those that want to hear it, will be forever have their head embedded in the sand like an ostrich, hoping that it'll go away. So if you don't call them out, I mean, I'm going to call it out how I see it and what's going on, because I'm witnessing it. I'm a witness to it all. I've gone down there and seen seen those crimes in action. You know, anytime you can sit up there and use taxpayer dollars to try to rip and ridicule and tear up a citizen because you don't like them, and then when that person tries to stand for his rights, now you hate him because he's speaking the truth. Then yeah, I'm gonna call it out like it is.
I'm not
And
saying
we have too many flunkies downtown that have done that's doing all this, you know.
okay,
And I
but
mean,
here's
wait,
my thing. What I'm saying to you is you can call it like you see it. Well, why does the word flunky have to even be the word? Why can't you say we have too many people that are not doing their job?
okay, I guess I could let me roll the tongue back a bit and let's just talk about the inadequacies that we're seeing every day in our faltering society.
Now
And
you're
then
being
we have
facetious.
the social pariahs that are always looking down upon us as peasants, and we have to try to have a better understanding of what we're dealing with, because these inadequacies are going to eventually be our downfall. How did that go? Did that work?
Well, now you're being facetious. That's insulting to me. I mean, it really is. I'm trying to have a serious conversation and try to help people understand the way you come across and the way you say things. If there's no genuine in it, then you're serving no purpose. You don't have to be perfect, but serve a purpose. And the problem is we got too many people trying to be perfect, serving no purpose.
Right. Well, all I can say is I guess I'm just one of these guys that's wearing that's really trying to wear things out, because I've seen too much oppression going on in our society.
Well,
And
you're one of these guys that's angry because it has happened to you, and you have every right to be angry. Yes, you do. And you should be angry. But when anger comes across as I'm going to almost hurt somebody, you have a tendency to turn the people away that can help you.
well, my anger is more than just about me at this point, because I mean, just like uh, just like the Dexter Wade case in Jackson, Mississippi. I mean, uh, here's a man who they claim was accidentally ran over by a police cruiser. Now it's starting to seem that if this man was murdered, because they've had exhumed the body, and they're going back and pulling back the layers to this cover up, because it's starting to look like now the cover up is worse than the crime. See, at one time, if a police officer said something happened, we believed it. When the mayor said something happened and something like this, we believed that too. But we have seen so many lies going on. And I mean, the criminals are now wearing judges' robes. They're now carrying badges. They're politicians now, and no one's hiding their feelings anymore. Just like the case in Indianola, Mississippi, where a police officer shoots an 11-year-old child in the chest. Uh, Told the kid to come out of the house with his hands up. He walks out there. You shoot an 11-year-old, and now they're sitting up here fighting to keep this man on the force. So my thing on that one is just like I've said then, and I'll say it even now. I don't care what color the cop is, the victim is, or this or that, but to try to kill someone with impunity, and then or in this case shooting and wounding a child, nearly killing the child, and you still think you deserve to have your job, I just
Okay,
think this is absolutely ludicrous.
now let me play the devil's advocate here. Now, what color are these people? What nationality?
From my understanding, the cop is black, the victims was black, the mayor is black, and part of the city council is black.
Okay, so now
That's the
if
okie doke shuffle.
okay, and guess what? It's one of those things where racism again is, how do you call this racism?
Well, the reason why, what they're doing, they're backhanding the thing because the consensus is going to be, okay, if black people are doing this to each other at this level, then it must be something wrong with us, because they'll say, well, I mean, they would be screaming up and down that it was a white cop that did all this, but they don't seem to be as concerned that it's a black cop involved, and that's a lie.
Well, and
I mean,
here's
if
the
anything,
thing.
I'm even more just like Tyree Nichols in Memphis. I'm extremely incensed about it. Not to mention finding out the motive behind the whole entire crime was these cops was taking up for one of their colleagues because the guy was banging his girlfriend. I mean, that's
Okay,
just
but
so
but
beyond
wait a
juvenile.
minute. Let me stay with this one case first, and let me point this out to you, and
Sure.
and see how things go from there. My thing is, say for instance, if this situation where the cop is black, the mayor's black, the judge is black, the police had force or whatever counts as black in Mississippi. Now, if they didn't let him stay on the force, black people will be outraged too, because guess what? The first thing we'll do is we'll go, well, I won't say we, some will go and pick up the fact and say, well, oh, now they want to fire him, but they didn't fire such and such. They didn't do this to such and such. So there's a no-win situation. So all I'm saying, until we start taking words like racism and color out of issues, nothing will ever be fixed, because this is wrong no matter what color they are. Period. An 11-year-old is shot and almost killed by a police officer. I don't care what color he is. I don't care if it was a little white boy, the black boy, white cop, black cop. It does not matter.
Well, I will say this with all certainty is that if that was a white kid that got shot by Greg Capers, Capers would already be stripped of his badge, fired, arrested, prosecuted, indicted, and probably be facing trial, going to prison right now.
But here's the thing:
if he'd have shot a dog, that would have happened. Because see, like dogs have more civil rights than black people.
Well, now that I think it's still true, maybe 85% true, but then there's that 15% where people will possibly come unglued because they will say that's when that will come in. That didn't happen with Amber Geyer. That didn't. There's always going to be a way to complain or a way to make it not be what it is. The real issue is not about color here. The issue is a police officer shot an 11-year-old child. That should be the real issue.
Exactly.
But because we always have to put a color on it, and even though we know sometimes some things are better left unsaid, and let's get some real justice so we can get ahead. Period. I wish we could just go in there and put them behind the wall like they used to do on a game show. Don't even say the color. Don't even give the colors of people, and maybe we can get some real justice then. That child deserves justice, and so does that mother.
Exactly.
Period.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to sound so cliche and everything, as as the old saying goes, what would you do if that was my child scenario? Because I don't think I could hold my sanity if that had happened to my child or my grandson. So I have a grandson the same age as Darian Murray, and I just they probably had to be dragging my dead body off of his if that had been my grandson getting shot like that.
Well, you see, I think, let me speak on my situation. Am I livid? Absolutely. Do I have a right to be? Absolutely. After all, now I don't know. This case with Dorothy Patterson, the alleged Dallas Uptown serial rapist, was very public. I'm in the line. I'm out here in the streets. I'm everywhere. People know me. It was very public. And it's still very public. People still look at me as though I'm defending a rapist. but they don't know the evidence. But I do.
Exactly.
And I should be livid. But guess what? I can sit right in the same room with Kobe Warren, Marissa Hatcher, and sit there and have a caring, concerned conversation with both of them to try to figure out what would make you want to do this to someone. What would make you want to be a part of this?
Right.
This is horrible.
I mean, but look at what just happened. What we just learned a month ago about Sylvester Hayes, the young man who was just going to get breakfast for his children and gets jacked by 5-0, and then they sit up here thinking that he's another guy named Sylvester Hayes, but name spelled different. All they had to do was just simply do a facial rec and a confirmation. You're supposed to confirm anything before you arrest somebody. So even after they found out that he wasn't the Sylvester Hayes they were looking for, they pinned some cases on him to try to cover up the blunders that they had made. And the city kept that under wraps for over 2 years, and just now want to talk about it, which brings you back to the thing. How many other people have been done that way? You remember Diamond Ross when she was in police custody and died in custody, and it was a whole year before that was even made public.
Well, I think a lot of times people fall short because they believe what they believe and they do not do their own research. Just think if I wasn't the type of mother that knew my child and I just said, okay, I did my research. I did my own investigative reporting. So the thing is you just can't take someone's word. You got to do what you got to do. And that's the problem with the world now. We just believe what somebody tells us and it's like, oh, okay. Okay. And
Right.
and the reason why some people are getting justice is because they never gave up. Just like you and I trying to get on this live feed. We didn't give up. But when you do not use caring, concern, when you don't have caring, concern conversations, we were caring about getting on here. We were concerned about it. And guess what? Now we're having a conversation. And all I'm saying is until we use better ways of communicating effectively and stop using, even though we know race has a lot to do with a lot of things, we do know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Because my son was accused of raping 10,000, I don't know, alleged to have raped so many women. But I remember in South Dallas where there was a black man raping black women, and he had raped so many women, and it took them forever to catch him.
Yeah, and then even to the point they went to another man's house and scared his grandparents to death because they raided his house and hit a man in jail on a DWI warrant, and they identified him and named him on TV, and then Chief Brown gonna sit up there and have the gumption to say, "Well, I don't want an apology. We just said he was a person of interest, not a suspect."
Well,
my goodness. Last I checked, I thought that's what a suspect was a person of interest.
Well, I mean, and again, and here I am, I could easily say my son was accused, he was within 2 days accused, arrested, and locked up within 2 days.
Arraigned, indicted, and just about everything else.
Within 2 days. Because a white girl said this, but I don't care about, I care about it, but it's not my focus. My focus is my son did not receive fair justice, regardless of whatever the color was. But we do know that there is a case that a black man was raping black women, and he got to do it for how long? I think it was like 4 or 5 years.
I think it was something along that line. But then, the thing was how that whole thing just started materializing over a period of time. And then finally, I guess one of the other detectives figured out who it was. And then the guy ran to Baton Rouge, and they caught him in Baton Rouge once they tracked him on his cell phone.
So I'm saying I'm not talking about somebody else. I'm talking about something I'm living and I have witnessed. My son was given a life sentence But it took them forever to do that. So that let me know something wasn't right. And then another thing, let me tell you, when they make a case this high profile, people pay attention. If they do not tell you, now, when they have made a case so high profile, when the news media does not come back and say to you, they should have said, like they do in all these other high profile cases, Dallas Uptown, the man accused of being the Dallas Uptown serial rapist is going to trial today. And they usually go and put a camera in there and they show little spurts of it, of how the trial is going. And then you definitely hear the sentence. If I wasn't out here telling it, would you know what happened with the Dallas Uptown serial rapist?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the old saying goes, like in any other high profile case, once they start putting it on the media, they just putting pressure on themselves to find somebody, anybody.
No. You didn't hear my question. My question was, if I was not so public about my son's case, would you know the sentencing? Would you know the outcome? Would you know what happened to the alleged man they arrested as being the Uptown serial rapist?
No, I wouldn't have known it. But at the end of the day, they had, once they put it on TV, they already was the hunt was on at that point, and whoever was going to fall was going to fall.
They never had it. See, you're missing the point. They never had. We never even heard about any rapes in Uptown. It just came out of the blue.
Yeah, I understood all of that. I get all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying that's what made them so quick to go jump the gun like they did, because they literally plastered this on and put a twist on it, put a twist tie on it. You know, I get the methodology that you're referring to, but they do it all the time,
and
too often for my taste, because they make so much out of anything around here. You know?
Well, I want people to know that before you just take, I don't care, the news, whomever's whose ever word, make sure you have caring, concerned conversations with people so you can get some truth. And I'll talk to anybody about what's going on. I sure will. I don't care what color people are. All I know is that Dorothy Patterson has not received a fair trial, and it was horrible what these people what they have done. But let me tell you what they're not doing. They're not going to get away with it, because I'm not going to stop talking about it. But I want people to understand, when they shut something down and you do not hear anything else about a high profile case, and high profile means it's all over the news, plastered everywhere. When you don't hear the in-betweens, the happenings, or the outcomes, go do your research. Go find out. It ain't about a white-black issue at that point. It's about law. What is the law? Quit making everything about color, because we know that color does play. You ain't got to tell me color plays color plays a part in it. You don't have to tell me. We already know that. Let's skip that part. What colors in the Constitution play a part in this? What amendments were violated? That's the color I want you to see. Go to your Constitution. Learn it. Use it. The color of law should be the only thing that matters in cases, period. But we know it's not, and it's not fair, it's not right. And I do know that racism exists. Racism exists with white against black, black against white. And I'm starting to see racism exist with black on black. So now racism means absolutely, it means absolutely nothing at this point in time for me. I want you to see the color of the law. Let's have a caring, concerned conversation about the color of the law. Am I right for feeling like that, or am I just all off on the deep end?
No, you're not wrong at all. It's just that unfortunately, abuse of the color of law usually is something that's pressed upon us, because no, we have yet to see equality. We have yet to see clarity. We and the other word they love to run in the ground, transparency. I haven't seen that one.
Well, how we gonna see? How we ever gonna get clarity when we starting to murk up the water ourselves? How we ever
You
gonna
can
be
see through
transparent when we
an
start?
open window better than you can a brick wall. So
Okay, but now we're it used to be where black people would stick together. Let me tell you how many black people are sticking by me.
oh well, we already know the answer to that trivia question.
I
You ain't
mean,
got to
I
Google
can't
that
even
one.
get black media to give me an interview. And I'm not coming by myself. I'm coming with a high profile attorney that can give the facts of the case.
You know, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I have really found a very big slap in the face that I've seen, because uh, it's like they're so tired of seeing black attorneys uh, running people ground. Then I mean, but they did the same thing with Jeff Henley over that Tony Temple case, and then they some way somehow managed to get their grubby hands in there and tweak that case up. You know, Jeff Henley went through great lengths to keep that case alive for 6 years. For they got some justice, but not nearly enough, in my opinion. And but they are trying so hard to try to move the hash marks down, move the arrows down on misconduct, on police misconduct, judicial misconduct. They're trying so hard to just get around that one, but every time it seems like they make some progress, something else happens that we find out about. And it's not until that glorious day when finally someone realizes that there needs to be accountability as well as clarity and transparency. But it needs to be accountability for all the wrongs that has happened that still being erased as we try.
All
I mean, the more
misconduct.
we
And I like the word misconduct. We could have said corruption. I love the word misconduct. Thank you. But we can, misconduct is what it is. Misconduct will get you some time behind those walls yourself. Misappropriation of the law, abuse of power. Those are terms that needs to be used when we want to get some justice for those who misuse, those who are in robes, those who are in uniforms, those who are supposed to abide by the law, who are supposed to uphold the law.
Well, like I said, the fight goes on, and it's on. Like I said, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Well, we're gonna speak positive. We get ready to make it better, because we're gonna start speaking out, using words, using the right terms. Use these words in the Constitution. Make people go back and get the Constitution and put it back in the schools. How about that? So people can learn what we the people really mean.
Well, we got to heal. We got to heal some way, sometime, and we got to do it the right way. And
what you saying that you looking like good luck. You're looking at me like good luck, remain optimistic, but honey, it's gonna forever be a problem, right? Well, we're gonna hope, and we're gonna keep using better words, and we're gonna try to have caring, concerned conversations where we can apply the law to those that supply the law. Even though we know race and ism is still out here.
oh well, yeah. I mean, as soon as I get up and hit that door and turn a couple corners, it's always out there. You just have to be very, very cogent and careful about how you walk around the landmines out here. There's so many.
Well, Mr. Ruffin, thank you as always. You're so enlightful and so caring, and you don't mind having caring, concerned conversations. Mr. Reggie Ruffin of Just Cause Coalition, thank you for always being willing to speak out, speak up, and speak your reality.
Well, And thank you, Miss Reality Coach, because we've definitely learned a lot from each other these past couple of years, looking at the things we've seen and we're still seeing.
Yes.
And I mean, like I said, we got a lot of work to do, but I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and do what I can to get it done.
And we gonna get it done. Well, thank you. You know, I'll be hollering at you a little later.
All right, take care.
All righty.
There she goes, there she goes. The reality leaving truth, knowledge, wisdom, shades on. There she goes, there she goes. The reality leaving truth, knowledge, wisdom,